This project is about Recreational Equipment Incorporated, REI, modeling corporate sustainability and stewardship. To review this assignment, I'm looking at REI as a potential model within the U.S. for expanding sustainable lifestyle goals and to evaluate the collective worldview of the co-op. In the second part of the assignment, I conducted an interview with a member of REI's Governmental Affairs Department addressing two things. The first being their communication strategies when they advocate for conservation in Washington, D.C., and REI's culture of stewardship and sustainability. I do want to make a note that while I talk about corporate sustainability, REI is not a corporation. It is a cooperative begun in 1938 by Lloyd and Mary Anderson. It is the oldest in the United States. In fact, we're celebrating our 80th year this May. We have about 17 million members, which is about the size of Lagos, Nigeria. Jim Collins and George Porras did a study on corporate sustainability, looking at characteristics of company, measuring their success by how well they did in the stock market. They found that companies that are built to last, put purpose before profit, preserve long-standing purposes amid the pursuit of change, start slowly and advance persistently, do not depend on a single visionary leader, grow their own leadership instead of importing stars. They also learn from diverse experimentation. In conclusion, they found that long-term investing in socially responsible companies that care about what they produce, how they treat their workers at home and abroad, and what impact they have on the environment and their community, leads to higher yields in stock market investment compared with traditionally balanced portfolios. I would like to see the same research applied to cooperatives, because REI certainly fulfills these criteria, except for stock market performance. However, I do see that REI continues to open new stores while our competition is closing stores or are being bought out by larger companies. I really feel that this model works. David Batstone developed 8 principles for creating integrity and profitability within a company. The first being responsibility of the director and executives in ensuring the company's viability. The second is transparency, so that operations are visible and decisions can be scrutinized. The third is community, to which the company has obligations and commitments. The fourth is honesty, in representation of products and handling transactions. The fourth is decency, in treatment of workers, including involvement of workers in the company's decision-making. The sixth is sustainability in attitudes and approaches to the environment and to reducing negative impacts on it. The seventh is diversity, as well as balance and equality in the management of all relationships. And the eighth is humanity, manifested in respect for workers and citizens' rights in all global divisions and partners. Again, these are principles that certainly apply to REI. So in talking about REI sustainability efforts, I would like to pick out some highlights from our 2017 sustainability report. In REI's words, because we're a co-op, we measure our success differently. For us, success means running a healthy business and making a positive impact on our members, employees, and society. So first, a monetary summary. Last year, REI made $2.62 billion in sales. They invested $8.8 million in over 400 nonprofits and gave back to their members $196.3 million in dividends. In product sustainability, REI has developed their own product sustainability standards, working with our product partners to elevate practices within supply chains. There are 8 sustainability traits that can be found in products. These are fair trade certification, blue design, which is a labeling process showing these features, organically grown cotton and ingredients, recycled materials, responsibly sourced down, the Leather Working Group, the Forest Stewardship Council, and responsible wool. As far as a social justice issue, REI began a campaign last year called Force of Nature, wanting to make the outdoors a level playing field for women. REI commissioned research on women's concerns with engaging in outdoor activities, such as things they may have heard that may intimidate them. Were they even able to name an outdoor woman role model? And the results were quite concerning. So REI held 2,700 events for 48,000 women. Some of these are courses, such as fixing a flat on a bike, taught for women by women. REI also invested $1 million in 29 nonprofits that connect women to the outdoors. Public lands are extremely important to us. We believe that the outdoors are for everyone, regardless of political positions. We led hundreds of companies to defend the protections of public lands, including speaking directly to the governor of Utah to try to keep the protections for Bears Ears and Grand Staircase Escalante. We assisted members in showing support to the federal government for public lands with our I Heart Public Lands movement. We also continued our Opt Outside campaign. We remain closed on Black Friday. This is the day after Thanksgiving, which is the unofficial start of the Christmas season shopping holiday. It gets its name from the biggest shopping day of the year when companies are able to get their ledgers in the black. It is a time of frenzy, incredible deals. Some stores stay open for 24 hours. People line up for hours. There can be mobs, trampling. It's a bit chaotic. REI has decided to close the doors of their stores and distribution centers and pay their employees for being off. We're making a statement against this materialism, consumerism culture. We're encouraging people to go outside instead of shop. It's been going on for 3 years. In the first year, about 1 million people joined the campaign. In the second year, about 2 million participated in the official campaign. And last year, we had 8 million people participate. And for our employees, we have about 12,000 employees. While this is not standard procedure in the United States, and certainly REI is not required to do so, even part-time employees have access to health care and retirement investment. REI gave $56.5 million in profit sharing and incentives to their employees. It is also not standard practice to just give paid time off to employees in the United States, but REI offers 2 times a year a paid day off to their employees. And since Fortune magazine began tracking the 100 best companies to work for, REI has been voted one of them for the 20th straight year. And as far as energy goes, 100% of our energy comes from renewable sources for all the stores, our headquarters, and distribution centers. In fact, our newest distribution center in Goodyear, Arizona, produces all of its own energy and uses innovative approaches to water conservation. I could keep on going, but then I would be talking for hours. If you're interested in more, it can be found at rei.com/stewardship. I would now like to talk about REI stewardship. First, stewardship for the outdoors. We believe in responsible ethics for the outdoors, following the leave no trace ethos. The first is plan ahead and prepare for where you're going. The second is travel and camp on durable surfaces. The third is dispose of waste properly. The next is leave what you find. The next is minimize campfire impacts. The next one is respect wildlife. And the last is be considerate of other visitors. We offer many journal, blog entries, and articles, one such being how hikers can help combat climate change. The first thing is about how to stay informed and sign a petition, with links to petitions for staying within the Paris Climate Accord. Another thing we offer resources to is how to get involved in your community and driving less, with the link to an app that helps to plan car-free trips to outdoor recreation areas. We also have links to projects to help people become citizen scientists. We also have resources for planting trees and attending events with links to ones coming up in your area. We also believe in stewardship for each other. A common hashtag is Giving Tuesday. We have resources for helping to pay it forward, such as donating to a nonprofit. We ourselves have a program to give new life to old camping gear. On our website, you can print out a shipping label to put on a box of gear to send to Goodwill. We also have resources for volunteering or starting your own fundraiser and buying products that do good. For example, Patagonia gives 1% of their profits to environmental causes, and Life Straw, for each of their products purchased, they can help support water for a year for a child throughout the world. We also encourage people to bring someone new to the outdoors, provide resources for how to take a first aid or CPR class, and in general, how to spread the word to the next generation. I would now like to look at REI's worldview based on your own integral worldview framework. The first aspect being ontology, a perspective on the nature of reality. Based on what is referenced in REI's journal and blogs, I infer that they follow the scientific model on how the universe came about. However, we still respect each and every view of our members and customers. Epistemology, a perspective on how knowledge of reality can become about. We feel we learn about reality based on experiences, that we learn from each other through interactions, lessons, values, and community. Axiology, a perspective on what a good life is in terms of morals and quality of life, ethical and aesthetic values. One of our core beliefs is a good life is one lived outdoors. But we need to respect outdoor spaces and respect each other through honoring equal rights, ethical treatment of workers of products, and responsibly sourced products. Anthropology, a perspective on who the human being is and what his or her role and position is in the universe. We believe people are a part of nature, and we have the right to interact with nature. And we have a responsibility to care for it, and a responsibility to work for the social good. Societal vision, a perspective on how society should be organized and how societal problems and issues should be addressed. Within our company, I would say we have a touch of socialism with branched leadership. Like most companies, we have a hierarchical management structure, but we are member-owned, who get their voices heard in the company, such as voting for board of directors and where donation money goes. So to look at your IWF model and your descriptions of worldviews in your publications, looking at REI's ontology, I would say they fit in both postmodern and integrative. Nature is constructed through a plurality of cultural values, meanings, and interests, and nature as intrinsically valuable. As far as epistemology, I would say they would fit into the integrative worldview. Pragmatism, emphasis on reality as approachable through integrations of sources of knowledge. As far as axiology goes, I would say they are postmodern, with post-materialist values, open to change, and self-direction. For anthropology, they have characteristics of both postmodern and integrative. Humanity in cautious relationship to nature with world-centric identity, but striving for humanity in unity and synergy with nature, prime purpose found within serving the larger whole. And for societal vision, I feel they are firmly planted in the integrative worldview, increasing emphasis on services, creative industries, and social sustainable entrepreneurship, although I would replace entrepreneurship with operations. A synthesis of interests and perspective as solutions to societal and environmental problems. The second part of the project was an interview with our Government and Public Affairs head, Mark Bereshka. I conducted a semi-structured interview with open-ended questions. The first part was I wanted to know within his department and within the scope of his job, how does he see REI's role as an advocate for the outdoors? I wanted to know if he sees REI's role as being active or passive, proactive or reactive. And then I wanted to know more about his communication strategies when he has to deal with parties or people that don't necessarily share the same culture or ethos as REI. As for the first part, he feels that we have a radical centrist view, that we can be an activist while being centrist in our positionality. He feels that REI is becoming increasingly active. Again, we firmly believe that the outdoors is for all. So therefore, REI is for all. But we do find ourselves taking a stand on social justice issues. For example, we publicly and vocally support marriage equality, such as very visually being involved in pride events. Now one might say, what does this have to do with being in the outdoors? Well, how can the outdoors be for all when a segment of our population are being discriminated against? Another issue was North Carolina's bathroom discrimination law. They were trying to insist and enforce that people use the bathroom of the gender they were assigned to at birth. REI stood against that as well. But I had to ask, what if in taking a side, we were to upset or alienate another group if we're trying to be a co-op for all? For example, after the Parkland school shooting, we chose not to reorder certain products from a company that also sells automatic assault weapons until they made and they vocalized their positionality statement on automatic assault rifles. They are still silent, so we are not reordering any product from them. So what if, in taking that stance, we upset gun owners? Mark talked about being authentic, being true to our core values. And in that case, we might end up upsetting some people. An issue that he brought up that is very important to REI and his communication team is environmental deprivation. A study in the United States found that Americans are now spending 95% of their time indoors. We now have a campaign introducing 95 ways to get outside more. His team is using research, scientific support, showing that time in the outdoors is good for physical and mental health, framing it as a public health issue. Again, we feel that access to the outdoors should be for everyone, because once people make a connection, then they care. And once they care, then they will want to help take care of it. That is good for us as a company, good for us as humanity, and good for the environment. The second part of the interview was about their communication strategies. He spoke about choosing our words carefully. There's a power in words. For example, with some groups, they may have to avoid the terms climate change. But if they put it in terms of health of the outdoors, then they're more receptive to their message. He also talked about meeting people where they are at, finding common ground with them, and then bringing them along on our journey. So in conclusion, stewardship and sustainability are essential parts of REI's ethos and culture. We incorporate sustainability measures into our own operations, as well as supporting our members, customers, and employees to engage in sustainable measures and stewardship activities. REI's collective worldview is a blend of postmodern and integral. And as far as the interview with Mark went, REI is taking an increasingly active role. The positionality is being activist while being centrist. We try to keep true to our ethos, being authentic to ourselves. And as far as communication goes, we need to find a common ground with those with which we wish to do work, take people on a journey with us, and emphasize that a healthy outdoors is health for us all. I thank you for this opportunity, and I am more than happy to answer any questions that you have.